This episode of Film Riot is brought to you by Domain.com. Today on Film Riot, we're talking VFX of PROXiMITY. VFX, proximity, proximity, and VFX. Welcome to Film Riot, the show that takes the mystery out of the effects and techniques of some of your favorite Hollywood films. I'm your host, Ryan Conley, and we're still talking about proximity. Well, yes and no. We're really just using proximity as an excuse to take you through our process of making something, making something that we make. Question, hey Ryan, can I have your bate? Nope.
What? That has nothing to do with anything.
True, but we don't need a question for this episode, but I wanted to show a question for interactivity and also to reaffirm the fact that there are people who do want my body.
Fair enough, I guess.
So, as I've said before, there are 52 visual effects shots in proximity, and with the short turnaround time that I had, there was no way that I was going to be able to do them all myself, and with some of them, I just wasn't up to the par for the jobness anywaysville. So I called my friends Michael Stark, Harry Frank, Mary Poplin, and my co-writer Seth Worley to help me crack this out. Most of the shots were the lights on the shackle. Harry Frank helped me out with that one, and he had to painstakingly go in and do each and every one. Most of them he used Mocha's tracker for, but a lot of them he had to do by hand because of motion blur and such. These had to be perfect. If they looked like visual effects, it would have been completely distracting, and that's why I asked Harry Frank to help out. After tracking the shots, he used After Effects to composite them in. The craziest thing about this is that he didn't use any special plugins, just what ships with After Effects. He just used a solid, masked that, add some simple blurs and glows, and there you have it. Dude is a magician of digital proportions. He has some cool tutorials that he does as well, so definitely follow him here on Twitter. It's a really great resource.
You shouldn't make fun of me. Excuse me. I go back to sleep.
Then there was the foot getting blown off. This one I shot locked down. We added that handheld movement later, and I made sure to get a clean plate as well. Then I gave it to Michael Stark, who tracked it using Mocha, erased the foot in After Effects, then added a CG foot to go flying off with some bloodness as well. The rest of the effects weren't the in-your-face type effects, just additional stuff that you would notice if it wasn't there. But first, how do you get these files to your awesome VFX people? Well, for me, I used Mediafire and Evernote. I love Dropbox, but this just worked out better in this case. First, I used Evernote to create a VFX list. I went through the film and jotted down all the effects needed with a short description and the time code for where it happens. Then I used a color system to organize what artist was going to be doing what shot. If you have a ton of visual effects artists, this wouldn't be the best method, but since I had a handful of people helping me on this, it worked perfectly. In Evernote, I'm also able to turn this list into a checklist, so as artists finish shots, I can just check it off to see what's left. Best thing about Evernote is that it's free. There is a premium version that opens up the ability to share notes with people and have them be able to actually edit the same note with you inside of it, but you won't need it for what I'm showing. I actually just sent them the URL so they could see it, and that works just fine. After I have everything organized, I'll start exporting my shots. Of course, these will need to be uncompressed, as much so as possible. You could use ProRes, or on a Mac, you could use Avid's DNxHD. If you're on Windows, both are great options. As I told you guys last week, I am on an HP now using the Windows system, but I actually used QuickTime uncompressed 10-bit, which worked really well for me. So I went down the list one by one, finding the shots I needed, and then I made sure there were no effects or color correction on them, rendered it out with a naming convention that would be helpful for me. That was something like prox _ then the scene and shot number that I assigned it to in the doc that I made, and then the time code where this shot happens. This made it really easy to plug those shots right back in once I got them back from the artists. Then I exported the shots into a folder I created for each artist and sent that off to them through Mediafire. But that's my simple method of keeping everything organized. It worked really well for this project, but again, if you have more people or a bigger project, you're gonna want something a little better, more detailed to help you out. But the thing I love most about PROXiMITY's effects is how most of them are invisible. You wouldn't even know that they were done in post if it wasn't pointed out. Like this branch shot, which Stark handled. In the original footage, there's actually nothing there, just the actor miming out the action. I had the branch added digitally for the sake of safety and time while shooting. If we would have done it for real, we would have had to use an actual branch from the location, and that definitely could have ended with somebody getting hurt. Plus, I knew we'd be able to pull this effect off convincingly because of how fast it happens and the fact that it's all in motion the entire time. So all that motion blur really helps sell the effect. Then of course we have the muzzle flashes, bullet hits on the tree like this one, and the one that hits the dirt here, both done by Stark. And then you have the rock, this one, that hits the hunter. Here's the original, and here is the finished. It's extremely small, you almost don't see it because of how fast it all happens, but without it, it feels completely empty and you definitely notice that something's missing. Another example would be the stuff that Seth Worley helped me out with, like the shells ejecting from the guns, which he used After Effects for, and Element 3D. Without it, it would have had so many comments of people complaining about where the shells were, and it would have taken people out of the scene since it is a glaring lack of realism not to have the shells there. Another was right here. In this original shot, you see that the barrel is actually completely blocked with mud, even though Todd just shot it. So Seth went in and unblocked it through the magic of effects that are visual. Again, these are all very small, very simple things, but without them, the production value goes way down. Thinking about these small things that could be distractions for your audience and correcting them goes a long way towards boosting your production value and helping make your film feel a lot more professional. But now we break, and then I show you the hardest visual effect shot in the piece and how to make a punch connect in post-production.
Move. You should pick those up. You probably can't see shit. I've seen the movie, you son of a bitch!
Domain is a place to go if
They
you want to
sell
get yourself.
light bulbs.
They do not sell light.
For when it's dark outside.
They are a light in the darkness.
Yes.
I like where you're going with this.
But
Domain.com
they actually
is
sell
a
light
light
bulbs,
in
though.
the internet darkness. So if you need a website to promote yourself on the interwebs in any way, shape, or form, you can use Domain.com. Get yourself a hosting plan, get yourself a domain name. If you got a domain name that you want, like RyanIsSexy.com, I don't know, I'm just spitballing here, and that name is taken, probably
I
is.
don't think it's
they have a
taken.
domain discovery service to help you pick the right name for you, my friend.
I think they give away free light bulbs too.
Because they're a light in the darkness.
No, I mean, yeah.
Domain.com is affordable and reliable.
But
We
they
can make it more
legitimately give
affordable
away
by giving you the coupon
light
code
bulbs.
FilmRiot. Use it as checkout. At checkout, you get 15% off your domain name and web hosting. Because when you think domain names, people think Domain.com.
And light bulbs.
The light in darkness.
Logo.
Hey, Juicy Juicy. Josh actually has those pants, the ones that say Juicy across the butt,
What?
and he wears them like a champ.
No.
Take a look at this. And if you don't see the problem with this, take a look frame by frame. The fist doesn't actually connect. And I know it's being a little picky, but some people do go frame by frame, and even still, I can see that it doesn't connect. And now I could have used another angle that would have hid this, but I really like this shot and how it progressed with the rest of the action. And if the punch could connect, well, that's even better. Which this is a super simple fix that I learned from Andrew Kramer. I'll start by right-clicking my clip in Premiere and sending it to an After Effects composition. Once in After Effects, you're gonna duplicate your footage and then go to the frame that the fist should be connecting. Now grab that sexy masking tool and mask around the fist and some of the arm. Trim that top clip to last only one frame, which will be that frame where the fist should be connecting. And now we will move that masked fist towards the chest to make it look like it's connecting. Now you may need to scale the layer up a touch, feather, and adjust the mask to make it blend, but that's it. Now we go frame by frame and we can see that we have a punch that fully connects. Bazammy!
Bammy wham!
Finally, the hardest shot in the entire film, which was this one. Don't know what the effect was? Well, look at the original. Catch it? It's right here. The shackle actually comes off of Todd's leg and was clearly seen in the background of the shot. Not great. And again, I could have used another shot, but this one was perfect for what I was trying to do, so I asked the brilliant Mary Poplin to come to my rescue. She used Mocha and was able to get in there and remove the shackle from the background. Then I took that now clean plate, sent it over to Seth, and he put the shackle back on Todd's leg, which was just as simple as just taking a still of the shackle, tracking the leg, and popping it right on there. Again, a really simple solution to a big problem. And though the shackle going back on was simple enough, removing it from the background not so much. That stuff can be pretty intense. In fact, Mary actually made a really great tutorial on how she did this shot, which you can find right here. It is a great tutorial that I highly suggest you check out. Object removal can be very difficult, and Mary explains it very well. So, right here, go here, right here. So awesome! But that's it, the visual effects of proximity. And again, we had a super tight deadline, so in typical guerrilla filmmaking fashion, it was all about simple solutions to the problems, which is a great example to show that if you get creative, you can find a solution to any post problem you might come in contact with. And since we talked about my VFX team for the film today, give them a follow on Twitter, here for Stark, the Michael Stark, here for Seth, who also co-wrote the film with me and is an insanely talented director as well. Mary, who did the object removal and is the object removal queen, if you will. And Harry Frank, the digital magician. Also, the digital copy of Proximity, which has a high-quality version of the film, the script, and well over an hour, I think it's like an hour and a half or more, of special features, is now on sale. For the next 2 weeks, you can get it for just $9. So if you haven't grabbed it yet, now's the time. But that is it. I'll see you sexy peoples next week when I say old sport way too much. I am a butterfly. Watch me fly away. Why? Why is that? Everybody dance. Everybody dance. Oh my God, there's ants in my pants.